Welcome to News from the Underworld, an all-new weekly dispatch from that wacky world we like to call Australia. I'm here to guide you through headlines you never hear, Australian words you won't find in books, the truth about Australian animals, who the real heroes are here in Australia, and anything else I can think of. Let's get on with it. Our hero this week isn't exactly unknown. In fact, he's fairly known overseas and a massive hero here in Australia. I'm talking about our favourite crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin. Most people outside Australia know Steve Irwin as the crocodile hunter, the khaki-wearing, lizard-kissing guy who went around yelling "Crikey!" while jumping around perilously close to deadly creatures. What made him a legend, though, was that he was more than just a wildlife warrior. Obviously, he loved animals. He was loud about it, passionate about it, almost to the point of being kind of cringe embarrassing. Thing is, though, he had the personality to engage the public and draw us into his passion as well. He was easy to understand, he explained all the little details, he kind of gave a running commentary as he did things and made you feel like you were right there with him. He was the kind of person you felt like you could be friends with. Honest, straight up, what you see is what you get. Put all that together with excellent knowledge and a fair bit of guts, and that's exactly what makes a person a legend in Australia. In his interactions with animals, Steve lived awfully close to the edge, literally, and what he ultimately taught us was the importance of kindness and caring and the difference between caution and fear, which is possibly why Australians have a good laugh about the terrifying reputation that Australia's wildlife has overseas. Now, Steve basically grew up in a reptile park. His parents opened the Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park, which later became Australia's Zoo, and little Steve was helping out feeding Crocs and all sorts of animals by the age of 9, while I was sitting at home being scared of cockroaches. Now, here's a great fun fact that shows just how dedicated Steve was. The very first episode of The Crocodile Hunter was actually Steve and Terry's honeymoon video, or part of it. Seriously, Steve and Terry Irwin spent their honeymoon wrangling crocodiles. No fancy hotel, no champagne, just two little Australian crazies with a video camera and several tons of prehistoric danger. True romance, right? And here's another Steve Irwin classic. Filming was delayed once on the show because a wild bird had made its nest in Steve's boat. He simply refused to move the bird. Wouldn't disturb the bird for anything. That's the kind of man he was. Caring, respectful and protective. Qualities that I'd say most Australians hold dear. And he wasn't an entertainer so much as an educator. Steve's show reached over 500 million people worldwide with The Crocodile Hunter. That's 500 million humans learning that snakes aren't evil, crocs aren't villains, and conservation is not boring. And when he died in 2006, stabbed through the heart by a stingray, a 1 in a million freak accident, the whole country stopped. Like, seriously stopped. Australians cried, Americans cried, kids cried, adults cried. Even the animals at Australia's Zoo are said to have known or felt like something was wrong. But Steve Irwin didn't disappear after he died. His family, Terry, and later Bindi and Robert, his children, have kept his mission and his legacy alive, taking Australia's Zoo from strength to strength. Terry in particular held fast and stuck to Steve's way of doing things when she could easily have sold out to excessive commercialisation. So yeah, Steve Irwin was more than just a TV wildlife guy. He was a walking heart on legs, equal parts crocodile whisperer, conservationist, and bundle of chaotic joy. And if you're ever in doubt about what it means to be Australian, just imagine someone charging headfirst into a swamp to rescue a snake, yelling, "Crikey!" with a smile the size of Queensland. That's the Irwin effect. Australian School of Language, and this week we're talking about the phrase Aussie Battler, one of those classic old-school Australian terms that says a lot in just 2 words. An Aussie Battler is someone doing it tough, an underdog, possibly someone working class, underpaid or on a low salary, maybe struggling with bills or a run of bad luck, but they keep pushing on regardless. It's not about winning, it's about trying and being quietly proud of your effort. The term has been around since the early 20th century, probably born out of war and the Depression, but it really took hold during the 80s and 90s when politicians started using it to appeal to the everyday voter. Is it still used? Not as much, not so often. Younger Aussies might now say things like doing it tough instead, but the idea of the battler, the cultural concept, and actually the reality is very much alive. Essentially, it's baked into how Australians see ourselves. Underdogs, humble, not flashy, just average people having a go, getting through it, having a crack. Even if no one says the word battler out loud, the vibe's still there. In every mate working a job they don't love, paying off their not-so-dream car, all while gritting their teeth and putting a brave face on it. If you have an Australianism you'd like me to explain, pop me an email. Here's my address. Secret Australian stuff, and this week we're talking crocodiles. Australia is home to two species of croc, the freshwater and the saltwater crocodile. Now, don't let the name fool you. Salties don't exactly hang out at the beach. They live in rivers, billabongs, estuaries, and occasionally people's driveways. The saltwater crocodiles are the big ones, the literal dinosaurs. They can grow over 6 metres long and weigh more than a small car. They've been around for over 100 million years, so while humans were busy figuring out making fire and arrowheads, crocs were already fully formed and totally perfect. And they've basically stayed the same ever since. Freshwater crocs, on the other hand, are the smaller, less bitey cousins. Still wild, still dangerous, but not the ones you'll see lunging at water buffalo in David Attenborough documentaries. Crocodiles aren't out to get you, despite what Hollywood might suggest. They're actually ambush predators. They don't chase, they wait. They're patient, silent, and insanely good at staying still. You could literally walk past one and not even notice until it moves. That's their trick. Up north, locals know the rules. Stay well away from the water's edge, don't swim where signs say not to, and never assume you're alone in a creek. And as the saying goes, if it floats like a log, looks like a log, it's probably watching you. Strangely though, crocs have this weird combination of being deeply respected, kind of feared, and somehow weirdly loved. They're kind of icons. They appear in Aboriginal dreaming stories, on tourism ads, pub t-shirts, logos, and in plenty of tall tales told after a few beers. And in parts of the Northern Territory, they're just part of life, like flies, mozzies, and heatstroke. Fun fact, Australia is one of the only countries that actively protects crocodiles and still has a thriving population of them. And yes, we even have crocodile farms as well. Some crocs live longer than most humans. There's one named Cassius, who is over 5 metres long and thought to be around 120 years old. He lives on Green Island in far north Queensland, retired, sunbaking and unbothered by any of us. So next time you hear someone say only in Australia, and it involves a croc turning up in a car park, well, yes, it's rare, but it does happen. They're not monsters, they're survivors, ancient, wild, and very, very good at being exactly who they are. Just don't go around poking them with a selfie stick. In sport this week, all of a sudden Australian athletics is getting exciting. I've mentioned before that Australia is a sporty country, and it's quite true. We have a program called Little Athletics, where school-aged children with athletic potential can compete with each other in organised weekend competitions. This leads to the standout athletes competing in regional, state, then national finals, and then on to professional athletic careers. Despite this, athletics is not generally an area of sport in which Australia excels. I mean, sure, we like it, we do it, we send big teams to the Olympics, but aside from a few real stars like Raylene Boyle, Glynis Nunn and Kathy Freeman, we've never been an athletics powerhouse. In fact, in this arena, America is the powerhouse, and Australia is like that little 3-year-old brother tugging on their pant leg. Now, I've been watching Olympics for a long time, and I can tell you from the Australian perspective that once the swimming's finished, it's pretty much all over for Australia in terms of medals. We might get the odd extra medal here and there in other events, but that's a bonus rather than an expectation. And just quietly though, medals in swimming are an absolute expectation, but that's a story for another day. Generally speaking, Australia only wins 3 or 4 medals in athletics. Suddenly, at Paris last year, we won 8, which is the best we've done since the 1950s. With the next Games being held in LA, the Americans will be in red-hot form, but I think Australia has enough young talent coming through to maybe start giving them a little nudge. Obviously, we're only the first year into the cycle, but check out these athletes who are doing great things and are definite potentials for the next Olympics. Nicola Olislagers and Eleanor Patterson in the high jump, Yul Reith up and coming in the high jump, Matt Denny in the discus, Curtis Marshall and Nina Kennedy in the pole vault, Kai Robertson in the 5,000, Liam Adcock in the long jump, Jen Gregson and Izzy Bat-Doyle in the marathon, and Gout Gout and Lachlan Kennedy in the 100 and 200 metres. Jemima Montag in the race walk, Jess Hull, Georgia Griffith and Abby Caldwell in middle distance running. It'll be very interesting to see what results we get at the upcoming World Championships in Tokyo in September, and I'll keep you posted about that. If there's something you'd like me to talk about on this show, let me know. You might have something you want to know about Australia, a burning question, something you'd like me to react to or review. Let us know. Pop me an email. My address is right here. Don't be shy. I'll leave you this week with a shot of a crow going spaz in a mango tree for no apparent reason, which is a timely reminder that sometimes in life, as in Australia, you just see things you don't understand. See you next week.